Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is almost all my video game pickups for the month of August 2015. Alright, so this has been kind of a crazy month, and I need to issue a few disclaimers here. So I've been bouncing all over the place. First half of this month, I was in Europe, as you guys I'm sure are sick of hearing about. I was then back in Chicago, where I live, for just a couple of days before I went out to Los Angeles. Ubisoft sent me out there for promotional purposes, and then I came back from Los Angeles, and I was here for like a day or two, and then I had to go to Wisconsin for a few days. Then I came back to Chicago, and then I was sent out to Seattle by Machinima for PAX Prime. In fact, if you're watching this the day it came out, I'm still in Seattle, which on the 31st, I'll still be in Seattle, although on September 1st, I'm back in Chicago. So my point is, it's been chaos, it's been nuts, and I ended up getting a lot of stuff, but a lot of that stuff I just didn't have time to do separate videos on yet, and I want to, so I'm withholding certain items from this video, and you will see them later, so I hope you'll forgive me for that. Specifically, things like that I got in LA, probably stuff I ended up getting in Seattle if I ended up getting anything there. Some other stuff I got in Europe, which, again, I want to do a special video on, and just a couple other things. You'll see as we go. So that's my little disclaimer to you guys. So let's get past that. Now let's actually talk about the stuff we did pick up here. Now the first thing I got was Rare Replay. Now I got this back, obviously, when I got back to Chicago. This is an amazing release. I'm very happy about it, and I think this release is actually totally genius. Because, in my opinion, Microsoft kind of probably looked in their catalog and was like, we can't really do what Nintendo can do when it comes to like releasing big things with collections of tons of retro games. It can't even do that as well as Sony, because Sony has kind of the same problem, except that Sony goes back an entire extra generation, so, like, they can do digital releases of a bunch of PS1 games. I mean, Microsoft hasn't even been making consoles for 15 years yet, so that's more difficult for them. So I'm sure what they did was they kind of looked back and like, well, what can we do if we want to do some kind of, exclusive, release like that? And they thought, oh, we own Rare. Rare made a bunch of great stuff. Let's do that. And I think that's exactly why this happened, and it was awesome. Now, I was actually really lucky because I got to talk to the developers of this at Gamescom, and that was cool because they were British, I'm an American, and they were used to, basically non-native English speakers coming up and talking to them. So when they actually heard me, they were like, oh, wow, I'm happy. I never really got to hear native English speakers. And I was like, yeah, so they were willing to talk to me for a bit longer than most people. So I really asked them, I really had one question for them. And I had two, but I didn't get the chance to ask the second one. Probably should have asked the second one first. But so what I asked him was, all right, GoldenEye, what's the deal? Why is that not on here? Is that just a movie licensing thing? Is that why you couldn't do it? And he basically gave me three answers. The first answer was essentially, the movie licensing thing was a problem. However, it was surmountable. That's what he said. He said it was surmountable. And then he kind of shifted into his like political answer, which was, hey, it doesn't really matter. Perfect Dark's on there. Perfect Dark Zero's on there. If you ask me, Perfect Dark's the better game, so we didn't really feel GoldenEye was necessary because, Perfect Dark, which I personally totally disagree with. I mean, if you like Perfect Dark more than GoldenEye, that's fine. No, I didn't. I thought, what the hell? Come on, GoldenEye. It's like, GoldenEye. It's fucking GoldenEye. I wanted GoldenEye. If the movie licensing thing wasn't an issue, what was? And after I was like, really? That's it? You just didn't give us GoldenEye because Perfect Dark is on there? That'd be like kind of like, not giving us Banjo-Kazooie because Conquer was on there. It's like, why would you do that? Then he kind of dropped the political thing, and he just kind of was like, I don't remember exactly how he said this, but he kind of hinted at the idea that they're doing something else with GoldenEye. Now, that can mean any number of things. That could mean another full remake. That could mean some sort of separate release. That could mean Rare Replay Volume 2. It could also mean he was just fucking with me and they're not doing anything. I don't know. But that's what I was kind of, that was what was suggested, is they have plans for GoldenEye. Do they really? I don't know. So don't take that as like proof of anything, because it's not. But it is certainly possible. That said, if you have an Xbox One, get Rare Replay. It's fucking awesome.
Got into post-production and realized I never told you what the second question would have been. I would have asked him why they went with the N64 version of Conker's Bad Fur Day instead of the original Xbox remake, and I think I just didn't bother because I'm sure the answer was the N64 version is the one everyone likes. But nevertheless, I was just curious. But unfortunately, I completely forgot to ask him, much like I forgot to mention this in the actual video.
I also picked up Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the Xbox 360. If you're like me and you had no idea that there was a 360 version of this, well, surprise. I only found out about this because I was looking through the Xbox One's 360 compatibility list of the games we know will be compatible as soon as it launches, and this was on there. I was like, when did Grand Theft Auto San Andreas get a 360 release? Turns out it was relatively recently. And so I was like, oh, I should probably find that just to get it, because I'm not hearing a whole lot of people talk about it. It might be like a rare release one day, or it could be totally worthless. Who knows? But I found it at Best Buy. They're asking $20, plus I had Gamers Club unlocked, so it gets 20% off. So the game ends up being $16. So there you go. That's why I picked that up. Then I got Legend of Kay Anniversary for the Wii U. This is an interesting release for a few different reasons. One, I pre-ordered this months ago, and I completely forgot about it. It was only a $25 game initially, and with Gamers Club unlocked at Best Buy, it ends up only being $20, which was, that's a reasonable price. I thought, all right, I want to support, a third-party developer who's going to make a game for the Wii U, because frankly, there aren't that many that still do. And that said, this was the only game released on the Wii U in all of August, which is really sad. What makes it even more interesting, though, is that this game barely got a physical release. Barely got a release at all on the Wii U. It kept getting delayed, and I thought, okay, this is it. It's just going to get canceled. It's never going to come out. It got a release on the PS4, and I guess it got a digital release on the Xbox One, not a physical release for some reason on the Xbox One. And I was just convinced this game was going to get canned, at least the Wii U version. But no, it did make it out. But it made it out in a couple of strange ways. This game is not available on retail store shelves, at least in North America that I've noticed. Best Buy doesn't have it, Target doesn't have it, Walmart doesn't have it. None of them have it. And, but all their websites say, we'll ship it to you, but we won't sell it in our stores. And you might notice it has a white case. This is not something I did. I thought, oh, okay, this, when it first arrived, I was like, is this some bootleg shit? What the hell? No, it's such a budget release. They didn't even bother with the blue case that says Nintendo on it. This doesn't say Nintendo anywhere in the plastic. But this is the way it arrived. It wasn't just me. I looked up other people who got it, and they were like, what the hell? White case? It just was released in a cheapo white case. I'm guessing that they just probably thought, okay, it'll be even cheaper to release this with some surplus DVD cases they found, rather than actually make up more blue cases. So, yeah, this game barely got out, so this could end up being a rather valuable game at some point, or it could be worthless. I don't know, but very interesting. Now, funny enough, I saw this on store shelves in Austria with the blue case. They got a more legit release, but they only got 3 copies per store. So it may end up being a rare game, guys. It's a little pro tip for you. This could end up being a valuable game, or it could end up being completely worthless. I don't know. I just thought I would throw that out there. Now to a more somewhat interesting, I guess, Wii U release. I got Splatoon. People have been telling me, get Splatoon, get Splatoon. And it's I wanted it, but I know how Nintendo first-party games work. They almost always hold their values. This game came out at $60 and will pretty much always be available for $60. But, and even after it's, on the used market, they tend to hold around, I would say 80 to 90% of their original value. I mean, look at some of those old N64 cartridges. The first-party stuff almost always holds its value. So I was like, there is a time, though. There is a time span when Nintendo stuff is something to go after. Usually about 6 months after a release, Nintendo stuff will have a brief dip where it's still available in major retailers, and they'll drop it $10, $20. And I was like, all right, that's when I'll strike. But I got an even better deal. There was a day earlier this month that thankfully was one of the few days this month I actually was at home. Because like I said, most of this month I've been not in Chicago. And what happened that day was that Kmart, for some reason, dropped the price of Splatoon from $60 to $30. And the internet became aware of this, and it sold out immediately. I didn't get it from Kmart, and I was like, fuck, oh, shit, I really wanted that. Oh well. But then I thought, wait a minute. I think Best Buy will match with Kmart. So I have a Best Buy near me, so I walked down to Best Buy, and I was like, hey, I brought up I brought the game over to the counter, and I showed them the original listing on Kmart's website on my phone. And I said, do you price match? And they were like, yep. And then she just adjusted it, and there you go, $30. And if you don't believe me, there it is. Splatoon, $30. Sorry about the little jump there. I guess I should have paid attention to the battery flashing things. Okay, we're recharged. We're going again. Yeah, I know that wasn't really professional. I do apologize. But yeah, I got Splatoon for $30. That's where we left off. Now let's get back onto the next batch of games here. And you'll see this one called Escapists. Now, this is a European exclusive game that was released on the Xbox One and PS4. It might have had a digital release in North America. I'm not sure. But they got a physical release. And this was something I wanted. When I was in Austria, I saw it, and I was like, oh, maybe I should pick it up. But the whole case was in German, and I was just like, I can't get over that, knowing full well that the UK version will be in full English. So what I did was I ordered it, while I was in Austria, I ordered it and had it sent directly to Chicago. But that leads me into the next bit here, which is I picked up a bunch of European exclusive games, but not exactly while I was in Europe. See, if you guys aren't aware, my girlfriend, the evil Mrs. Claus, she lives in Portugal, obviously part of Europe. I live in the United States, so I only get to see her for a limited time, during the year. But one of the advantages, if you will, of that is that if she wants American stuff, I can amass it and bring it over there, or I can amass it, and when she comes over, she can take it back with her, and vice versa. So if there's a bunch of European stuff I want, I can have it sent to her, and then she can amass it, and I can pick it up, or she can bring it with her, which ends up being a lot cheaper. Since we're going to be traveling, across anyway. So what that meant was that over the past multiple months, I think going all the way back to the end of 2014, there's a bunch of games I had sent to her, and then I finally got to pick them up now. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a lot of these exclusive games that North America never got, except for one of them, which you'll see. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams Director's Cut for the PS4. The Last Tinker City of Colors. Worms Battlegrounds, Flockers, and the most interesting one, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. This one really pissed me off because in North America, you might have been like, dude, I've seen that on store shelves. That's not a European exclusive. Yes and no. I saw it too, and I was like, oh, sweet. That's awesome. I almost bought it too. And then I looked at it. There's this small little blurb on the back that's like, oh, by the way, dumbass, there's no disc in here. There's just a piece of paper with a fucking code inside. It doesn't use quite that language, but it should, because that's fucking bullshit. I'm sorry, that makes me really angry, because I'm obviously very pro physical content. If you like digital content, that's fine. Nothing knocking you. But who the fuck wins in that scenario? Where they basically sell the case, the artwork, and no disc inside. Just a piece of paper with a DLC code. Nobody wins out of that. People who want digital stuff probably don't want just a plastic case with no disc. People who want physical content don't want a case with no fucking disc. So nobody wins. But in Europe, they got the release with a disc. So I was like, all right, I'll get that. And funny enough, I actually got the collector's edition because it was cheaper. It came with a scroll and a little Lara Croft figurine and some extra DLC and stuff, which was pretty cool. I'm guessing it was cheaper because it was bigger, so they were just trying to get rid of them. But yeah, this is just the regular case. They have the big collector's edition things in the other room. But yeah, so that's a little heads up. If you wanted this game and you wanted a disc, they did get it in Europe. And then also for the PS4, I got Teslagrad. This is the only one I kind of regret because we now know this game is getting a physical release in North America for the PS4. I have the Wii U version of this as well. Again, it was a Euro exclusive. But there's no evidence yet that the Wii U version is coming over here, at least physically, but the PS4 version is. That's kind of the risk you run, though, when you get these imports, is the possibility that they'll come out in North America. And I know people will be like, well, why don't you just wait? It's like, yeah, you could, but the risk you run is like, you might have noticed, these are all pretty much just like indie games. Like, none of these are major AAA releases. Problem with indie games that are only released in one region is they typically are in limited quantities, and they typically become somewhat more in demand. So you either get them when major retailers are selling them at fair to like below average prices, or you wait until it's all the eBay market and it could be way more expensive. That's the risk you run. So in those cases, it kind of paid off because it's very unlikely any of these will ever come to North America. I could be wrong, but it's possible. But this one we now know is. So I lost in that case. However, the PS4 is region free, so it's really not that big of a deal. But a console that isn't, the Wii U. I also got a bunch of Wii U games through the same method where, I had them sent to my girlfriend and then, I brought them back. Now this one is probably the most well-known, Art Academy Atelier We got a digital. I could be pronouncing Atelier wrong, but we got this in North America as a digital only. And this game was released across Europe physically. Granted, depending on where you are, it was in different languages. And like, obviously, this is in English. This is the UK version, which is typically where I get them from. But this is an interesting release because this was released all across Europe. Whereas most of the European Wii U exclusives are like nation specific. So there's only like 8 or 9 Euro games that like Wii U games that came out in Europe that North America has not seen and probably never will see. Now this is the most widespread of them, but in most cases, each one of them only comes out in like 1 or 2 countries for some reason, rather than the entire Eurozone, and I don't get that. But here, I'll show you them, the ones I picked up, and I'll tell you which countries I was informed they came from. If you live in a different country than the one I say, and you know the game was released there, please feel free to correct me. So, Hunter's Trophy 2 Europa. This, I was told, only came out in Germany. If it came out somewhere else, and you live somewhere else, and you're like, hey, it came out in France, dude, please, again, feel free to correct me, but I'm just telling you what I was told. Fit music for Wii U by this company called O2 Games, which is kind of, I guess, notorious for making some of the worst games on the Wii U. This was, I was told, only released in Italy. However, I did notice that Amazon Spain was selling it, but whether or not it's actually available in Spain, Spanish retailers, I'm not sure. Baila Latino, again by O2 Games, again released supposedly only in Italy and possibly Spain. Love Me Buddies Wonderland, again O2 Games, released in Italy and potentially Spain. Jet Tailfin, supposedly only released in the UK. And Kokoto Magic Circus 2, supposedly only released in France. However, that's like the indicator of a German rating, so I'm kind of thinking it probably came out in Germany as well. But if you live in one of those countries, please feel free to correct me. You know what sucks ass, though, is, of course, unlike the PS4, the Wii U is not region-free, so I can't actually use any of these. I considered buying a European Wii U, but then I thought that was extremely excessive. I think I'll do that someday when they're like not worth anything, because it's really not really worth paying that much to import something so I can play fucking Love Me Buddies Wonderland. The only one of these games I would be mostly interested in is this. So, you know, whatever, we'll see. But there's some games I know Europe's getting physical releases of that are more interesting, like that Devil's Third game for the Wii U. The North American physical release was canceled, but it looks like it's still coming out in Europe physically. That might actually be worth it. So we'll see. We will see. But moving on, that's the end of like stuff that my girlfriend managed to track down for me. Then I got some stuff absolutely for free from my buddy Ronald. He was a guy who, a while back in December of 2014, he sent me 2 CDIs. He's the guy I went to Gamescom with. Hell of a nice guy. Lives in Austria, which is part of the reason we were there, was to hang out with him. But, one day we went to his house, and he has a bunch of game stuff, and one room he had like a stack full of games, and he was like, if you see anything in there you want, just take it. I was like, are you serious? Like, he's like, dude, it's junk, it's taking up space. If there's anything there you want, take it. I need the space. I was like, all right. So my girlfriend, Evil Mrs. Claus, went through and saw if there's anything she wanted. She ended up with some stuff. If you want to see what she got, she's doing a gaming channel now. I'll link it right there. Feel free to check it out. You can see the stuff she picked up across Europe and at Ronald's, etc. But you can also see the stuff I picked up right here. I got Virtua Cop Elite Edition for the PS2. This is basically Virtua Cop 1 and 2, re-released on the PlayStation 2. I don't know if this got released in Japan, but I know North America never got this, which is cool. It's an official Sega release, but we just never got it over here, which is very interesting. But there you go. This was sealed when he gave it to me, but I opened it up because I don't really collect sealed stuff. Then he also had a big stack of CD-i games, Philips CD-i stuff. So I basically just picked out the ones I needed, which was Seventh Guest, Battleship, Compton's Interactive Encyclopedia. Yeah, everyone needs this. This is like a must-own, trust me. Family Games 1, and Laser Lords. He also gave me something else, but I'm going to show you that at the end because that's pretty special. So the other thing I got here is this. This is obviously a package. This came from a guy named Joshua Harrison. He contacted me late July and was like, hey, I got this thing. I don't really want it. Do you want it? And I was like, dude, you don't have to send me stuff. Which is the truth.
And I know you guys even get upset now. You make fun of me. You're like, dude, stop saying people don't have to send you stuff. But it's the truth. What else do you want me to say? Like, people don't need to send me stuff. It's not a requirement. It never was. I never ask people for things. People still want to send me stuff. And I'm like, you really don't have to do that, guys. And I'm dead fucking serious. You don't have to send me stuff. I'm appreciative of it. You know, Mrs. Claus is appreciative of it. But you don't have to do that. But in this case, Joshua said, like, look, you know, if you don't want it, I'm just going to toss it. I was like, don't toss it, dude. And he's like, well, then do you want it? I was like, if you really want to send it to me, fine, I'll take it. And don't make it sound like I'm not appreciative. I really am. But, you know, it's like, you don't have to send me stuff, guys. You really don't. But nevertheless, he did send it. And thank you, Joshua, for sending this. Let's go ahead and open it up. Yeah, I totally can't do this with one hand, so let me cut it and I'll get back to you. All right, it's mostly open. I'm going to pop this last part here if I can. There we go. And inside we have a note. Let me go ahead and read this first. Hey Adam, I forgot to tell you that when we talked that it was a Super Nintendo Mini. Hope you still like it. And I put another little surprise in the box. Don't know if you have one, but hope you still like it. Your biggest fan, Josh. P.S. Sorry for all the scratched out words. You don't have to worry about that, Josh. Well, I guess that kind of tells you what it is, and thank you again, Joshua, for that. But inside, yeah, it's a Super Nintendo Mini, as well as an NES Zapper. That's really cool. And there's a Super Nintendo controller. And yeah, a Super Nintendo Mini. That's really cool. Yeah, I have one Super Nintendo Mini, but it's nice to actually have a backup. I've always wanted a backup one. That's really cool. So yeah, I'll just double check, make sure there's nothing else in there so I don't lose anything. Just styrofoam and newspaper. Well, there you go. Thank you, Joshua, for that. Again, Joshua, you really didn't have to do that. And to anyone out there, again, I know it's a broken record at this point, but you really don't have to send me stuff, guys. Obviously, I'm super appreciative. I thank you a lot for that, but you don't have to do it. You really don't have to do that. But nevertheless, thank you, Joshua, for doing that. That was really awesome of you. Hopefully I can get this running. As I recall, he didn't remember if it worked or not. So we'll see. I'll clean it up, see what I can do with it. Thank you again to Ronald for that, for his hospitality. And oh, that's right. There's one other thing. There's the bonus thing. This is a bonus thing from Ronald. And I guess it's very appropriate that we have a Super Nintendo out here and then we have CD-i stuff out here, because let's mix the two. What do you get when you mix the two? Well, you end up with Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon, and Link, the Faces of Evil. Two of the three Unholy Triforce Zelda games for the CD-i. There's lots of video reviews out there. These are hilarious. Now there's a third one called Zelda's Adventure, which fortunately I already have. So now I actually have the entire Unholy Triforce. So that's amazing. Ronald, this was not in his extras pile. He actually just gave this to me straight up, just as like a thank you for coming out here type of thing, which again, he didn't have to do. And I feel really bad. I actually gave him a bunch of stuff. And I want to make a video on that, the stuff I gave him. But I'm not entirely certain the footage we shot is going to cut together. I don't know. I'll see. That'll take a lot of work in post-production. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, nevertheless, thank you again, Ronald. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.